Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
doing well.
Nice.
I'm alive, baby.
Alive? Measured by.
Measured by feelings in my nervous system. I'm relaxed. I can feel a lot of energy moving through. My body feels good. There's little pockets of pleasure around if I look for it. My tongue feels sharp,
Mm.
mind sharp, body sharp, good to go.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's amazing. You always wake up like that?
No. Just keeping it real, Jack.
Yeah. No, you gotta. No, I did not wake up sharp today, bro. I woke up in suffering today. I had some consumables yesterday. You know what I mean. I was actually quite. I was mad today. I was like, my energy level is not where I need it to be, and in some situations you just kind of are like, okay, fine, then I'll just fucking chill. And I'm like, no, I want to do things today. Why? I'm not happy. I should prevent this scenario in the future. I need energy, bro. I need it. I can't just throw it away. I was a bit mad. A little bit mad,
I feel that. That's part of why I feel like I don't do shit no more. Cause like now I'm just like I cannot afford to even miss a second. I can't afford to miss one window of opportunity. I gotta be fucking razor sharp, or I'll fucking die.
Yeah. Yeah. We just had it right in the edge. Do you wanna tell a little bit about how you came to the scenario you find yourself in as an edge rider, I don't know, how do you call that living with the flow or something?
We're gonna be cyberpunk about it. We can call me an edge runner. But no,
Yeah, edge runner. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's it. Edge runner. You're into edging, basically.
I mean, yeah, that's who. I don't mind. Yeah, not gonna lie. Definitely catch me doing a bit of that. Okay. All right, letting that one pass. I ended up on this path because my creative energy just started to come alive while I was working as a software engineer a couple of years ago. And it kept getting louder and more alive until I could no longer do software engineering. And I moved to LA, and I went through a bunch of. I guess I could tell a proper story. I mean, like, tell a proper story, like.
Can tell a proper story. No?
Yeah. Like, I got into software engineering when I was like 25, 26. And a year into it, I decided I wanted to give up alcohol for the year because, like, I wanted to change the way I was living. I mean, I was already into spirituality and stuff, but I wanted to live like an even fuller life. And I started going to these morning dance parties that were sober, these like sober raves, and like it was just some of the most joyous, creative, sexy people I'd ever met. And like being in that environment changed me permanently because it was just like, oh, this is possible. Like there's people out here like living like this, free and happy and shit. And it infected me, and I just started going to those parties all the time. Until next thing I knew, I was coming up with these costumes and trying to do my work was harder and harder and harder. Until eventually I got myself fired one last time, and I basically cast a spell to make sure that I couldn't get another job and that I'd be forced to follow my own creativity. And it just led me onto this path where like just all I can do is just create what's true to me, what feels alive to me. And even if that means I have to go hungry, even if it means I don't make much money right now, like I moved to LA and then I got really onto Twitter and I started making all this visual art constantly. Made all these friends who invited me to Europe. And then I went to fucking Europe, I went to Portugal, I came to Berlin, I met you, went to London. And then I got invited to a party in San Francisco, and I've been here for the last 5 months, and now I'm getting ready to leave again. And I ended up on this path because I'm just committed to just following this creative thread inside of me that's so alive. It's like I always know what I need to do. There's always like something coming through, and it's just like trusting that if I just keep following this path, like really dope shit is dope shit is happening, but not just dope shit, but like prosperity and like even bigger opportunities to do cooler shit in cooler places. And yeah, sometimes it means I do not have any money at all. I was being supported. I mean, I was being like supported by my father for a little while there, and then like by my own hands, I let that go for a little bit because I just wanted to find out like if I was doing this because it was really serious to me, or because like I was taken care of and stuff. And it was just like, and no, I found out no, it's just like no, this is really important to me. And also like, I like being broke.
Careful with that, bro. Careful with that spell. Yeah, no, sorry, go on.
No, I don't tell lies, man.
Yeah, no, yeah.
It's changed me. It's like one, it was just like also a part of this creative path I'm on, because this life force was just like, hey, bro, you gotta do this. You gotta do this yourself now. You gotta like do it differently.
Yeah.
It's changed the way I look at the world, giving me a whole host of experiences that make me way more compassionate to people on the other side of capitalism. Sharpen my mind towards like making money and building products and like using, like letting this creativity take care of me and like the influence of the things I'm doing. I don't know. It's just this is the path.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm not broke right now, but I'm like moving towards considerably lower amounts of money in the bank than I had for a while, and I'm entering like a sweet spot zone where I'm like, I really don't want to be broke. Like I have like standard of living, you know. I was just thinking of like Gary V, you know, like who always tells people to lower their standard of living. I did not heed the guy's advice, and I was like, oh, no. Hey, bro, you just gotta, you know, just live with your parents, bro. Don't.
I tried so hard to like maintain my standard of living I had as a software engineer, and just time, bro. It's like over time, every experience, each part of that just got permanently like just busted up. It was just like, oh, no, I don't even eat out like I used to now. Like now, I actually buy groceries and like buy fruit and like, yeah, it's just real.
Yeah. No, and I just wanted to say that, but for me, like I have the weirdest experience right now, having a bit less money than I used to. I feel like way more relaxed than with more money for some reason. I think there's also the time of development in there. These are all like threads we can get into, but like I've trained myself to be calmer around it, basically. But then at the same time, I've got like something shooting up in me that's like, yo, now you got to take things seriously, because there's like a sub 1 year time frame in which you will go broke if things just continue like this, right? Like no way that's not gonna happen. So you better, you know. And so my system, I can feel it starting up right now, being like, no, okay, like stop dabbling, become a pro, you know. Like turn to the guy who shows, gotta do the thing. There's no way around it now. You can't be like, I'll dabble another year, or I got some shit to learn and to find out. It's like, nope, you gotta do it, and you better do it now. The time is now.
No more hesitation.
Feels good too. I'm like very grateful for it. I'm like, damn, this is fuel. This is like nice pressure. This is urgency. How do you generate urgency? I remember also at my tech job at Twitch, my boss told me one time, yeah, British guy, you should be feeling really urgent about this now. And I was like, what if I don't? Where does it come from, the urgency? What do you mean urgency? It's like, for what? Because boss man says so? I don't know. Yeah. Like, you should feel urgency. Like, well, that's good to know, but I might not. I just might not. And to feel it from the inside, how does it feel for you, the thing you're describing, the energy, the path? Where is it? Where does it come from? Did you always have it? Yeah.
I mean, I always had it, but it was always too quiet, too, I don't know, too weak, too numb, too
like your creative energy, kind of?
Yeah, like it comes from, I guess one, like I'm the least like numb I've ever been. Like I can feel everything. I feel everything, all of my feelings, like, and not just feelings, but all of my sensations. I can feel like the creative sexual energy run through me. I can feel like the charge of excitement about things. I can feel the hunger, the literal hunger of like, wow, I'm hungry. If I don't make this shit happen, I am like going to stay hungry. Like this is it's just feelings of this are the fuel, man. It's just it's just happened over time. Like especially once I started dancing and going to all those parties and like starting to open myself up and just like unblock myself. That's the thing I talk about all the time, a lot. It's like creative unblocking. I've put like time and energy into meditation and psychedelics and like doing practices to like just untangle all the energetic knots in my body so I can feel and hear what clearly wants to be created, and like being able to hear that and clearly feel what wants to happen. That alone is like source, because it's just like I always know what I need to be doing.
Right. And does it enter your mind as like a thought, or do you like hesitate? Are you like, what can you ask? How do you do that? Is it just there?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, like it'll often like it'll either show up in flashes in my imagination as images. It'll haunt me like when I wake up in the morning, like, you know, in that little state between waking and dream.
Love that.
It'll just be whispering. It's images, feelings, like everything, just the whole thing. The messages come in so many different ways. And like, it's funny how it works. Like, it will be crystal clear about what I'm supposed to be creating now. I'll have ideas. I'll be like, well, I'm supposed to be working on this project. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to be, but if you don't do this thing, I'm not going to let you do that thing. So I had to go do the one thing so I can go do the other things. And as soon as I do that, the other things just happen. It's just like, there's this very clear pipeline.
Yeah. Do you have an example for that?
Yeah. The man, Chris Smothers, gave me a commission to make him some art.
The man.
And I was struggling to make progress on it. Yeah. And I was struggling to work on that because something else very clearly wanted to happen in my creative channel. Like, first, what wanted to happen was I was getting a very clear signal to just stop and rest. So, like, I ended up taking like 2.5 weeks to basically just like lay in bed and watch Star Wars cartoons for like weeks until I had my fill, and then like I just got up and started like the next day, like when I felt like I was done, I finished watching Star Wars Rebels. Yeah. And the next day, like I sat down and like just immediately like crushed like one whole part of this project I'm doing for him, like the video sizzle, the animation, like making the sound for it. I just sat down and knocked it out like effortlessly, spontaneously, and then started building the next part of this. And then I got blocked on that because like this creative energy was like, hey, you got to work on your clothing brand. And I was just like, I got blocked on it again. And it was like, if you do that, I'll let you do the other thing. I was like, okay. So I like made the clothing design and put out this like collection, like, you know, I call Sorcerer Style. And then as soon as I did that, the next day or two, like I sat down and spent like 11 hours like working on this web app. Like it's always just like the creative process is real. It's always just like there's what is like immediately alive that wants to happen, and that is my whole practice in life of always doing just what is actually alive right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Damn. I feel it. I can really feel it right now. I also tapped into the stream right now and I'm like, yeah, I just gotta. But yo, so maybe some poor or lucky soul is listening to this and is like, what are these dudes talking about? What do you mean? Who's talking to you? So I guess I have two questions about that. The first one, I don't know how long that takes, but the first one is like, is that just God talking? And then I would also like to talk about, maybe you would share how you grew up and why you haven't always heard this voice, because I think that for me that's the key maybe to our generation or whatever, which is like, I think if you're in the current in that stream of your creativity, then it doesn't have to be like crazy creativity like art commissions, web apps, clothing brands, blah. You're like, that's very serious. I mean, just working on a thing for a job can also be creative. Not hating on that, but then to switch from like externalized duty, like in interhuman duty, to more of a divine duty. I think that's like, that can make life so much better for so many people. So anyway, is it divine? Is it like, do you think it's God or something? What is that? Who's talking? Who's in that? Who's whispering? Who's talking?
It's like, I know you know my answer to this. I don't know why I'm shy about saying it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, man, it's fucking God. It's like, it's very visceral. Inspiration is like a very visceral, like lived experience for me now. It's like sometimes it actually literally feels like a lightning bolt striking the top of my head and running down through me and out of my hands or out of my mouth, I mean, like, to get really like visceral about the details about it, I mean, like, honestly, what happens most of the time is I just close my eyes and I can feel this spark of aliveness, like the spark of an excitement. It's like something I can feel in my body. I talk about it like it's my inner yes. It usually brings a smile to my face. And it's just like, I'll look at something or like an action will come to me, or like this image of something that wants to be created, and there'll be this spark. It'll be like, oh. And it's so clear, I can feel this spark of energy that empowers me to do the thing. That's like the physical details, but like the reason I call it God is because like I'm not coming up with this shit. Like, bro, I look back through all the art I made over the last year and a half all the time, and I'd be like, I don't know who came up with this shit. Like, ain't nobody teach me to do this. Like, it's just like coming through me. It's just like this life force, this energy just has this will, and it's like, hey, it's like I need you to get out of my way so I can make all these fucking weird symbols and all this abstract animation art and all this weird shit. I didn't look up a single tutorial about making animations. No? I would just do it one step at a time. Just be like, it'd be like even when I make art, I'm always following that like yes energy. I'm always just like, it's like, okay, you want to make a line here? It's like, you want me to draw a thing here? It's like, and it's like, all right, and then it'll tell me, all right, now add another frame. It's like, all right, now do it again. It's like, and the next thing I know, it's like, oh shit, wow, it's like I just did it. It's weird, man. Intuition, like creative, like somatic intuition, this is the craziest shit.
Bro, so
you
just
got this
tippy
clear
tap.
Will.
You just tippy tap on the iPad until animation comes out? Boopy boopy. Or what? Like you never looked up like how to animate in Procreate or whatever?
No! Well, I mean, like, besides like looking up like, I was like, it was just like, okay, like one, I got Procreate, I got this iPad because I wanted to get, I like felt very clearly that like animation wanted to happen through me, and then our man Brent, uh, then I like one, I heard the voice. The voice was like, ask Brent for a grant to get an iPad. Man handled it on the spot, instant yes.
Bless him.
And then I got yeah, right, and then I got Procreate. I looked up how to activate the animation assist, and then I just started doing it, man. I just started fucking. It's just like the thing knew, like the fucking life force just knew. It's weird. It's crazy, and that's why I call it God, because it's just like, it's just.
It's just it's from below, from above, all at
Yeah,
once. Yeah,
it's just like all I mean, like, yeah, everywhere. Honestly, yeah, it's just. I mean, and like it's filtered through like obviously my own experience and my own like, you know, things I've seen before and absorbed. But like, I almost never know how any of this shit is gonna turn out. It just happens. And that's why I call it God, because it's just like there ain't no like, I'm not sitting here like, I don't know, man. I don't do shit.
I get it. No, I get it. No, for me it's the same, and I was I think I'm not as sparky as you. My creativity is very slow flow. Like I have like visions years, months ahead of time, and then I just need to be very patient to let them come. So that's how God talks to me. And well, I don't need to do this. We can be literal about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck it. Yeah, you enabled it nicely. Yeah. It's like one step on the cult leader tutorial. Like, stop doing this.
Yeah.
But also, another tutorial has the same first step, and it's just becoming like a nice devoted artist. And you can just, you can, and then from there the path kind of splits to like manipulate people / just serve the people. You know, choose your own adventure. You know, let's try to keep it to the devoted artist.
Let's keep loving.
Yeah,
Let's
do that. Let's not, it's not abuse the divine powers. I don't like that. But yeah, like I just get visions, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this. But it's always like a gonna, or it used to be a big gonna do this. And then it's very confusing and very much like I see myself in this. Like I quit Twitch 4 years ago, and I always had the voice saying podcast. And then I had 100 voices telling me or asking me questions. Like, yeah, but who are going to be your guests, and where are you going to do it, and how are you going to do it, and you don't have that equipment, do you? And these voices, snaky voices, and then and yeah, I don't know, it feels like now is the time where a lot of those voices are quieted, and there's a lot of different feel. So it's like 4 years in the making in a way, right? And I've been making podcasts, for example, but like secondary degree, like for other people who paid me to do it, and I'm pretty much doing my thing, but I wouldn't advertise it as mine, really. It's a very weird feeling, right? There's this personal thing. But so I get these kind of long-winded visions, not these sparks, but it's getting a bit more into the now, because the more I've listened to the visions, the less screamy they are, because I think they have more trust in me. Indeed, like you said, getting out of the way and letting it happen. And while I was more blocked, they kept screaming at me, and that's a very weird feeling. They're like, do this, and you're like, whoop, you're kind of dodging it, and you're like, I don't know, you're like, you don't know what to do, you don't know how to act on it. So I think I find it quite. I was gonna go somewhere with this, but whatever. I find it like cool that you say that it's just it feels very momentous, very in the now for you. That thing. I enjoy that because I mean, getting closer to it, but it feels like yours is more innately sparky, right? Mine is more like the slow tree burn, you know? It works, but it's cool to compare, you know, that a little bit, I think, how that works.
Actually, I want to like push back and be like, I mean, like both things are there.
Yeah?
It's like the clothing brand thing. That was something I came up with 12 years ago.
Oh, shit, you said that. Yeah, I read that on Twitter, yeah.
Like, and that, how do I put this? It's like, yeah, the vision. I get the visions too. Trust me.
Okay. Cool.
And I guess my thing now is just like following the sparks of the present moment towards them. You know.
Yeah, okay, then it's
No.
the same because I feel in that sense I feel the sparks more now as well. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Then it's not so different. That's dope.
Also, congrats on doing the podcast.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm very it feels very like I'm grateful to the internet and the Twitter people, you know, like just kind of I feel like okay, I feel like there are infinity people I can talk with the least possible filter, you know, like removing this from the conversation, just being like, no, this is what's going on. So yeah, and I think that's why part of the game is waiting, part of the creative game.
Yeah.
Because like you can't force that shit. Like I sometimes feel like let me know what you think about this. So I've been feeling like I told you about the money thing and stepping into the current. I really feel like in these last 2 weeks or so, I've been going from playing to no more playing, but really playing, like
Yeah.
practicing to playing, right?
Trying to win the Super Bowl.
Let's fucking go. And and it feels so interesting because I really feel like I stepped from being an observer to these visions, to my life, to what's possible, which I can all see clearly because it's like, for me, it feels like it's a stream, like a little water that's running on a beautiful green meadow, Windows XP background type shit. And it's sunny and nice. And I've been walking up and down the stream, you know, kind of mapping it. And like, I kind of know how it is. Now, I'm not going to like succumb to the illusion and say I know how it's going to be when I'm down there in the stream, but I've walked it on the outside, right? Kind of future, back, past a lot, right? Like, oh, right. But then I've never really stepped in. I've dabbled, I've dipped, I've tippy-toed, you know? But now, like, I feel like this moment has come where I'm like, well, fuck it, you know? And it's like,
Time to get wet.
yeah, well, yeah. And it's like, can I leave my stuff here, like my belongings? And it's like, and then the other voice like, yeah, but you're not coming back. You're going then. You know, you're not doing the walking up and down. Like you're really stepping into life. You know what I'm?
I do. I know.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, well, okay. And then it's like last hesitation, like put the stuff there, you know, put the wallet there. It's like, out of my hands, you know, maybe something will remain. And then stepping in and ooh, it's cold, right? It's like, ooh, it counts. But well prepared, I'm usually hesitant. So by the time I get in, it feels easy. Then people are like, wow, you're really natural. I'm like, no, I've been contemplating this for years, motherfucker. And then there's the other strange feeling, and now I'm in, let's say, a little bit. And then the other strange feeling is like, oh, I could have done this 4 years ago. Could have just done the same. And then I would have, you know, podcasted differently. I had ideas back then, and it could have been this or that. And then you would have had the same, like, type of predicaments and woes and that you now had outside of the stream, you would have had them too, but inside of the stream. And you might just arrive 4 years later at that now, which presents itself. Like, it feels like I remained outside the stream to make sure I'm getting it right. But there's an illusion in that somehow where it's like, no, but it would have been the same. And, I'm not trying to be regretful or something, but it's like, oh, but you could have just done that then already. I mean, you could and you couldn't. It happened. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But there's a feeling there. I don't know. What do you think about
that? Since I've been riding, I guess, based on my experience of riding the stream, the current, I wish there was a part of me that still believed that it could have been any other way, but like, I actually spent some time, I think, like right after I got back from Europe, like really sitting down with my past, like really looking back at all the moments and like really like stepping into each moment, being like, based on what I knew, I would have always made every choice I made. I really sat down, looked at it, and it was just like I was always making these choices based on my current understanding of reality, of how the world worked, of my non-understanding of God. So it's just like, yeah, it would have been sick if I could have jumped in the stream and like found my gifts and like started giving them like way earlier. But like, couldn't have been any other way. It just couldn't have. It would have been really nice to have like gotten all this out of the way like in my 20s, versus being a 34-year-old with not a dime to his name. But I don't believe it could have been the other way, because I always made the best decision I knew based on what I knew. Like, knowing what I know about God and like the creative flow now, like, hell yeah, I would have done shit different.
Right, yeah.
But like,
hindsight.
But like, I couldn't have known that. Like, because that's what makes it a leap of faith. It's just like, like now that I know, like on the other side of it, it's just like, okay, I can make these leaps and survive, and like, God will actually catch me, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, huh?
It's like, I didn't know that. And, if I have kids or like students or something, I'm gonna teach them that. But like, I didn't know that. I never saw nobody do that. Yeah. I might have heard rappers talk about it, but like, I couldn't, they're too far away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it feels like it's paraphrased. I know that's not the right word. It feels like it's phrases, or you're like, on God. And it doesn't mean, but it means everything.
Yeah, right? That was like, oh, fucking God. Yeah, like, now, like, yeah, it's like, oh. It's like, that's why all these rappers always praise God every time they go on stage. It's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Damn. Okay, so how was it for you? How did you grow up? Because it feels like a good time, because you said, you didn't see anything like that. I think this can be taught in a way, right? And especially through experience and seeing. And I think you, me, and many others around us in the same spheres have this thing where they are like late onset artists, right? Because that's always that leap of faith into the creative life. And it's like, many of us didn't have this incredible internal potential, power, poise, just to use more words with PO. You know what I'm saying? And
I do.
But it's internal, and you're never shown. It's like, that's where representation, right? You're never shown how to. I mean, movies and myth kind of show it, but then it's the same like with the rappers. It's like, oh yes, in movies that happens, but it's like, no, but your life is a movie. You can literally be the hero of your own. So that's really, I think, one of my goals in life, to make this kind of story way more accessible from real people who are still young, let's say. I mean, I'm 31, so I think I'm fine. I think Soul Director, my man, you know, you're 34 is pushing it a little bit. No, I love you.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
No, but so let's talk a bit about how you grew up, or how we grew up, and yeah, how was that for you? And I mean, you became a software engineer, so you know you got a good path. You were successful. You had like you played through one game, right? And now you went into like a new game plus. Same resources, but all the enemies are harder, whatever, you know.
Oh yeah.
So I'm curious.
Yeah, I went from Super Mario to fucking Sekiro.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I grew up. How do I put this? I grew up satisfied. I think that's how I would put it. Is that the right word? I don't know. It was just like I have gone through a whirlwind of feelings about like how I grew up over the year, especially after the last 3 months of like being really like under-resourced. I was well taken care of. My parents loved me. I always had shelter. They sent me to the best schools in the area. I always had friends. Never was bullied. Didn't go through any like capital T traumas or anything like that. You know, they always got me pretty much whatever I wanted. All I really wanted was like to play video games and read stories and like and hang out with my friends. You know what it is. And my parents were like, they're smart, good, hardworking people who were just doing the best they could. They grew up black in segregated states. It's amazing they turned out as well as they did, and I turned out as well as I did. But I don't think they were ever exposed to that life of, you know, like following the current of God. You know, I never really thought of my parents as spiritual people, so that's not something I grew up going to church, but like I always slept through it, and it didn't seem like that was like an alive thing in our household. And you know, I went to college. I went to the University of Alabama, where I went because I simply wanted to feel normal. And drank, smoked a lot of weed, played a lot of Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto. I studied. Yeah. I got a degree in finance actually, because I was aspiring to be like my dad and get into finance and like being a big investment banker one day. And then my last year of college, like I lived through this giant tornado that formed in front of me. That was like what kicked off like my spiritual awakening. There was the financial crisis going on around all that time with the housing market stuff, and I was just like totally disgusted with everything I learned about the industry. And I don't know, man, I grew up well. There was just too much incoherence. There was too much like they didn't prove they knew what was actually going on. They were just kind of doing the best they could, which I can't hold against them.
Yeah. You mean your parents or like your surrounding in the
everybody in Alabama.
Sweet home Alabama. Okay. So is it like this? I got this feeling from what you said now. Like this, the word that came up was like textbook. You know, like especially also if you're talking finance and financial crisis, and in your story, that's how I connected it with. But then the finance people didn't know what was going on also in that time. And for me, that's like this textbook. You go by the book that some other human wrote, and then like when shit gets real, you don't know what's real. Like if that makes sense, or describe it differently. Like yeah.
No, I was operating off a script.
Right.
Until like that crisis went down, and then I saw that tornado that shook me up. Like, yeah, I didn't know what the fuck was was real, and that was the start of me starting to become like self-aware of like, it's like, oh my god, I have feelings. It's like, who am I? Who do I want to be? And I was like, that kicked off so much that ultimately led to me becoming a software engineer eventually. But like,
Hey, so can you remember that moment, like, or like that moment in time, or a specific moment of you being like, ooh, like, what is this? Yeah.
It was a little while after the tornado. I was in my last semester of school, and
Sorry.
I could not focus on my.
What's the tornado? Is this a literal tornado or this whole time?
Yeah, it was a literal tornado.
Oh yeah? Can you?
Yeah, April 2011. So it was Alabama, where there was lots of tornadoes and storms and stuff. And one day classes got canceled because there was a tornado warning, which is normal. And, you know, we were all just hanging out at my house drinking, playing Mortal Kombat, getting stoned. God, good times.
Yeah, good times. I can feel that. I can feel you. It's like fatality. Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, I was ripping spines out on the regular. And like someone went outside and like they were like, y'all need to come outside and see this. And this is giant funnel cloud right above the house we were in. It's one of those things where you see it and you know. It's like, I'd never seen a funnel cloud before, but you know. You know deep in your human body like what the fuck that is and what is coming next.
I don't know. So you can spell it out for me. I'll
spell it out for you. A fucking big ass tornado is imminent.
From that cloud, like onto your house, like
yes. Yes.
Yo.
It didn't drop onto our house, luckily. God
it's like
protected me that fucking day.
AOE striking again. It's just like funnel cloud.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Like in a raid or something, right? And it's like the warning, like yeah.
You got 5 seconds, motherfucker.
It's like you gotta move. But no, there's that. Yeah, we were already in the house. It was like there was nowhere to go, right? And all of us just know, we just like know in our hearts, like, okay, our lives are not in our hands anymore for the next couple of minutes. So we go back inside and we all like just cheers. It was just like nice knowing you assholes. Like, you know, it was like one last like we had some Jack Daniels. I remember that shit. We just like just cheers, man. It was just like this might be it. I'll never forget like looking at my hand and like, guys, look at this shit. What holy fuck.
Damn.
Dude, that shit was so real. And then it came down. And it was huge. It was a record-setting like tornado for the state. Like it was like a fucking big old fucking thing. Loud, shit is flying around everywhere, and it goes the other way and destroys a lot of the town. Yeah. Yeah, it was like, and it was just like it was my first ever experience of surrender because it was just like. I looked at that thing and it was just like I viscerally understood. I was like, "Oh, I'm being allowed to live on this planet."
Right.
It's like this thing does not have an agenda or a will or a grudge or anything. It's just like, hey, I'm just out here doing me. And
there
if
were
you
some
get caught
layers
up in
of
that,
air, you know. One was cold, the other one was hot. You know, I gotta be here.
Just do this thing. And it's just like I'm just out here. You know, it's not my problem.
One must imagine a tornado going around and being like, sorry.
It's like,
sorry. Oh, that's your car.
I know that hurt.
Sorry. That room.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so that's like surrender. That's like near death experience, pretty much, or like you somatically, viscerally experienced the threads your life hangs on, let's say.
Yeah. Yes. That's really a perfect way to say it. That was a moment where I actually like I'd already had like a relationship to death where it was just like I understood, like I'd already seen like a lot of like I'd been to a lot of funerals and stuff. And I even already like grieved the death of my parents in the future.
Oh wow.
But like that was the moment where I understood where like I was gonna die one day. That was the moment where I was just like, oh, I am immortal. I mean, I am mortal.
Amortal. There we have the devotion believer versus cult leader pipeline again, because
yes.
if you get spared, it's like, ah, yes, thanks God, I'm immortal indeed. So yes, as expected, as per our agreement, you have spared me. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow. Cult leader pipeline, and could have been me.
Yeah.
Devoted believer pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shortly, that wasn't, and then like shortly after that, just like all these feelings started to bubble up. Like things happened. I started getting really fucking drunk. Like I started blacking out on the regular. Like I got mean. I was pretty mean for like a month or two there.
To people, you mean, or to yourself, or both?
Everybody.
Yeah, shit.
And there was this one moment where like I got back home from something, and I remember I was just so over everything, and I just like I just cursed the whole universe to die. I wanted the whole universe to burn and die, because just like things were not going well. Like I was just, my feelings were fucked up. I felt bad all the time, and I just wanted everything and everybody to stop and die. And I remember having that thought and being aware of it, because it was such a violent, heartfelt wish. It was so intense that I like stepped outside of it, and I was just like, where did that come from? That's like the shit that made someone shoot up a school. I was just like, what the fuck was that? And that was like when I started to examine my own experience. And I started like journaling and getting to meditation, because like I saw Avatar: The Last Airbender. It started making me think about, I was like, I don't have any spirituality in my life. And it was just like, yeah, it was like after I had that single vicious thought, like it was just like, oh no, I need to know what's going on in here. And that started getting me into like really into like imaginal stuff, because that was the only way I could figure out how to like communicate with those feelings. Saw this big black ball of fire inside of me, and it's just, yeah, and that kicked off everything. That kicked off just like a whole new chapter in my life.
Yeah, I get that. Just a quick question between, what do you mean by imaginal? I hear this word being thrown out around a lot, and I've never heard good definitions for it.
I meant using my imagination to contact my my body. So like using my imagination to give form to my feelings, to these very abstract things.
Yeah, I got you. Kind of metaphorizing a little bit. Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. To give me something to interface with, because it's like there's just this giant ball of hate. There's just this giant wave of hatred running through me, and it was just like, I need to do something with this before it like seizes control of my body and shoots someone in the head. Like, right. It was like born of like necessity and desperation to like not be controlled by this thing.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, and I was already an imaginative dude, so I just like, yeah, just like tried to. I can't even describe the move I did. It was just like I just tried to imagine what this thing was. And that was what I saw.
Get it. Out of character, I need to call a pee break. I've been drinking this tea. I know where to continue. I've got something for us. Give me 2.
Right. Yeah, take your time, man. Yeah. Enjoy yourself.
Will do. You too. Nom nom.
Nom nom.
Nice. Bodily needs. So you you came in contact with evil.
I don't want to call it evil.
No?
It's pain.
Pain? Interesting. I'm curious about that because the same happened to me. I did something pretty bad in the realm of like betrayal and very unforeseen darkness shot through me and actually manifested. And it completely, yes, created urgency to figure something out. Because I was like, oh my God, like I just did something that kind of earthquaked my life into shreds. Not all parts of my life, but very much parts of my life. That completely changed my self-image. That completely changed my sense of me and the world and everything in between. And it's like, oh, there's a void that needs some sustenance. Something should be here that isn't, that some mass that can prevent this type of shattering or even movement, or that like buffers such an impulse and redirects it. It's not the first time I hear that. Evil is harsh, but I got through a lot of this too by I'm not very bullish on this term, but I got through a lot of this by kind of considering the possibility for evil or for evil doing, or for, I mean, of course the source of pain is pain, but like
I get it.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And so that created...
if that pain is acted on, it becomes evil.
Okay, well then, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you didn't act on it, right? You for a month, you became mean. That's the thing, right? Pain, mean, evil. That's how it goes. That's what that's the Star Wars thing, right? The Anakin thing. Okay. Yeah, for me as well. That was a real... Yeah, for me it gave me uneven footing for, I think, 3 years or something, for sure. 3 years of very timid. Around the time where Medley came up in Berlin, we met. I was like kind of ready to step into society, like with a lot of trust and feeling like, oh, I'm pretty solid now. And but yeah, 2017 to at least 2020 plus más o menos 2 years of like, what the fuck is going on? And like first descending into like that happening, descending into like ooh all the bad possibilities, god damn. And then the climb back up. Actually I think was more a 5-year period, and then 22 really standing firm. So that seems to be a thing too, because for me, curious how you see it too, it has also something to do with this PO, with this power, potential, whatever is inside of you, that even if you can't feel it, it will manifest itself. And power and potential can, and even creativity, it finds its own way. That's what we're talking about. It's its own thing.
Comes out sideways. That's a term I hear about a lot, when like a shadow, like when the energy needs to come out, come out sideways if you can't accept it, aka evil.
Yeah.
No, keep going.
No, I'm you can take over. I mean, I just want to reference that and say, I know this, and it feels like, how does your story continue?
I dropped all my classes, and I basically took a year off. Like, oh man, it sucks so bad. I fucking lied about like I lied about like graduating because like I still walked because it was the last semester that I dropped all my classes, but I didn't have anyone to talk to about like what I was going through, what was
Wow.
happening inside of me. I didn't know where to fucking start. So like I ended up just taking like a year off and continuing to live in this college town. I basically just holed myself up in an apartment and just furiously made art and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and started meditating and just really thinking about like who did I want to be? Who was I being? Like where was I trying to go with my life? What did I actually desire? Like who did I want to be? Like it's just all these things started coming up. It was like I was starting to become like I was starting to have a picture of my internal world finally. Like just bubbling up out of like this exploration and I was selling weed. It was great. That was awesome. Anyway.
Oh, so it was an awesome time.
Yeah, in a way it was beautiful. Like because I
Sounds-
never that was my first time in my life ever like just taking time to really actually sit with myself.
Mhm.
And eventually I found my way into a study abroad and did a summer in Brazil to finish my degree. And then I moved to New York and worked for the Red Cross and kind of just bounced around while I tried to figure out like how to move towards all these visions I'd had during that year I spent of things I'm still moving towards. That was the time when I came up with the clothing brand and this idea I had about creating a game studio and like all these things that it feels like I'm moving towards faster and faster now. But like a lot was born in that time. Like I put out a lot of magic in that time.
It sounds to me like you had a pretty quick breakthrough to these parts that mattered. That's why I'm asking, because I think the how is always so interesting. Like how did you do that? Because I remember I went into, I mean, this year for you was roughly 4 years for me after Twitch being like, no, there's a calling here. I have to be, and it was the same. I just holed up in here, moved to Berlin, was pretty alone, and through this flat, as well as through my writing and stuff, but also like furnishing and kind of getting together a life from having no life in London was like this process. But it was like, long. I always feel this long, slow. And you said you already produced a lot of art then, and you wrote a lot. How did you do that? Did you look something up, like how to, or did you just then feel it then already? How did you practice your art then? What did you do? How did you do it?
Don't get me wrong. It wasn't just a year. I mean, like that year in that apartment was like the critical like turning. But like, trust me, I definitely went through a lot of confusing shit, especially up until I became a software engineer like 4 years after that. That like, wow, yeah, that was from 22 until 25, 26, and I moved to New York, and then in becoming a software engineer around then. That was like a big important step. But like, yeah, like a lot happened in that 1 year. And what happened? You gotta forgive me. This was like 12 years ago. So
Yeah. These are the crucial times, if we can extract from them, might actually be quite helpful.
People were like my family, like my sisters were recommending me books on spirituality, and I read those. I think I heard about Tim Ferriss around that time. I don't know who recommends me.
Bless the man. Good
Bless the
old
man,
Tim.
yeah. That led me down to a lot of different trails.
Yeah.
Getting
That's
into
hilarious.
journaling and stuff.
I didn't know, bro. That's so funny because I had the same thing with Brent and with Nibras. And everybody's like a Ferris head, and it's like he just did so much for our people. You know, it's so funny.
He did.
All these kids, because he's been asking these questions. How did you? What happened? You know, and he's never like admitted it. I think he's only coming around to it. But he's like such a fucking. His podcast is a wizard school, bro, for living free and making art and doing shit.
He wasn't even doing the podcast at the time.
Nah?
There was just like the 4-hour work week at that time.
Yeah, well, yeah, man. Okay, sorry, that's so funny. I didn't know.
No. Trust me, I listened to the podcast too over the years. Once
Yeah.
I got going, like I was listening to that shit too. I was about that life. Trust me.
Yeah. All right. Any books that you like that hit you hard or?
Yeah. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yo, same. What is it
Holy
about?
fucking shit.
What about it?
That first fucking principle of proactivity.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that I could choose who I wanted to be. That blew my fucking mind, bro. That blew my fucking mind. I still have the Evernote that I wrote inspired from that I look back at every once in a while. Like, that was like crazy as fuck to me. Like, nobody had like told me that.
That's great. Oh, that's
Bro, this shit blew the fucking top of my head off. I was just like, I can just choose to be who I want to be? I don't actually believe that anymore, but like, that was like an important...
Yeah.
But that had to get me to the current, you know? That like...
Yeah.
That was an expansion. That was a gigantic expansion of my like agency. Until I came into direct contact with God, and that's a different story. But
but this is the pipeline. That's like
yes.
You go from small to very expanded to expanded but focused. That's like unagentic, agentic, devoted or something. It's like the 3. Yeah. That's pretty predictable, I think now.
Yeah, that book more than anything else, like. And then I think I read Think and Grow Rich. That was awesome. Think and Grow Rich, that was super helpful. Yeah, I was super into personal development books. I read a bunch. It was 4-Hour Work Week, 7 Habits, Think and Grow Rich. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else.
One of the bangers for
Awaken.
me. Go ahead.
No.
Yeah, well, one of the bangers for me was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, yes, that was the one I read around that time. That shit was amazing.
Yeah, Carnegie. And the one that gave me like a real kick in the butt that started my leaving Twitch arc was Mr. Coelho, the Alchemist, because I was like,
ooh,
what?
I read that when I was in Brazil. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, dude.
That shit's hard. That hit me hard.
That shit was hard, dude.
I
This
came
is
back.
so hard.
Yeah, I came back from the US. We were at TwitchCon, San Diego, I think. Beautiful times. 2016, and I bought September, October, and I bought the book at the airport in San Diego, or maybe even San Francisco. I don't know if I did a leg VSF. Anyway, I was like, I heard about this from Tim Ferriss, of course. And then I was like, I picked it up, I read it on the plane, and then I got ill. Like, I had a complete, like, my nervous system, it shattered my nervous system. Yeah, for 3 days. I was like, do I need to drop everything and, like, go on a bona fide, magnificent adventure?
Personal legend, bro.
Jesus Christ. I did 2 years later after negotiating with myself a lot. But yeah. Okay, what else? You were about to mention another?
Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins.
Oh, Tony Robbins. Yeah, okay.
There was a lot of good shit in there. And then also just anime. Like One Piece especially. I'm just, like a lot of like anime influence in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like this fucking agency thing, right? That's really blowing my mind. I did like earlier this year, I did a huge write up around this with Ananta. Maybe we can post it sometime. We did it for like a grant application, but we basically Ananta. I remember her asking me, "Yo, like, what's magic? Like, what is that really?" And then we just got to, and then I just like mansplained it the best that I could. Like I took the question like literally, and I was like, okay, like I think I know, or I have an intimation. Let me explain it. And we really went through this. I might even have this on tape. Ooh, juicy. And it's about and I broke down that the most legible term for magic is like agency, because that's that thing, right? It's like you go from from contracted to expanded. And for me, that's the whole thing, the whole shebang, the everything that everybody's talking about in the last 2-3 years on Twitter or wherever. It's all about that, right? It's like Tim Ferriss for years. It's like, how can I travel without spending money, right? That's like, how can I use apparition, essentially, right? Like, how can I live somewhere for free, in brackets, because I have gifts to give, right? And that's all magical lingo. And so, I guess my short version was like, okay, to move freely in the world, to be enabled to move freely in the world, and act and not be in a predetermined script or whatever. That's what magic is, right? And that's like, and you can't do like any magic, but you can do your magic, right? You can do your version of it. And so there's these stacks of Alexander technique, right? Contraction to expansion. Yeah, for me, like a big thing that influenced me was like pickup artistry, because there's a big moving freely in the world.
Oh my God, that was what led me to so much, was reading the game. You recommended so much good. Okay, I'm sorry, keep going.
No, but it's hilarious, these arcs, right? Because there's like this agency thing. You're like, I need to be able to free my arrows. That's the question that's below it. Now, the whole pickup artist thing is a bit of unfortunate. Like, they went some ways that weren't so good. I think it definitely fucked me in the head a little bit too, and I made some mistakes because of it. But the base principle is like pretty. That people who were looking for agency / down the line magic discovered that. They were like, how can I be free? Like, isn't that crazy? And I feel like that's still the same thing. All self-development points to like magic of sorts, which ultimately then also points to this devotion, because that's what you read everywhere too. It's like, well, this is the whole how can I never work a day in my life thing. It's like, well, do what you love, all tropes, all true, but then do what you love is also really do what loves you, which is like your gift, that's crazy to me. That's just crazy to me. That's what everybody's looking for, it seems like.
Yeah. Freedom. Yeah.
The self-help book to fully fledged magical motherfucker pipeline. Like, what?
It's fucking real. I have lived it. I think like something that just wants to come and be said to me is just like something. I was a big doer of magic for a while until I set out for this journey. Like, I was doing a lot of magic. Then it became magic doing me. And I think of that as the path of miracles. Like, the path of miracles for me is when it got to the point of letting go of my agency. Like, my agency got me really far. And until like I reached this point where it started to become clear that like there was this will beyond me, beyond my like small self that like really wanted certain things to happen. And then when I got out of the way of that and stopped trying to do magic and started just like letting those things happen, that was when I found myself on this path of like what I call miracles, of just like, okay, what kind of crazy shit does the universe want to do for me and through me? It's like, for me, like magic is all about agency. You're right. And I felt like that was limited still. This is like where like the devotion part of the like the from the expansion to the at some point magic started to feel like this act of force. You know, like literally like putting my will under the universe, like being like, universe, follow my will.
Right.
Which it'll do, but you will be in my experience, I was exhausted by it.
Right.
Until I surrendered my agency. At which point, you know, the events happened that led to me meeting you.
Yeah. Can I ask you quickly, just for when you say doing magic, how would you describe the act of doing magic? Now I did it again. We don't do that. How do you describe the act of doing magic?
The act of doing magic is having this, is acting, wielding agency with the intention of changing the world, of changing your reality, of making an outcome that you want, that you think should happen. Casting a sigil to get a job. Taking the actions to create a life that seems like it will be good. No, that's a fantastic question. It's like, at some point, magic started to feel like an act of ego to me.
So, I think it's this exertion of, like you said, agency, and it's an exertion, right? It's you're putting it out. It's a yang movement.
Yeah.
And you're like exerting your will or your ability, and you have a end in mind, and you want something, right? That's what you say with get a job, do a thing, and it's right. And you know, the act of doing the magic is kind of like that's what's being taught, right? If we go to self-help realm again, it's like, if you wish for something properly and you're willing to work for it, you will get it. You know, if you want to make $1 million, the ultimate goal in the world, you can. And that's what many people on their journey to agency need to expand to, like, oh, things are possible for me at all. And so that's kind of the act of doing magic. It's like saying, making the classic success CEO, my will is the word, is the way, which, if I say it like that, that's where I think you're getting at, right? That leads to ego, to, oh, I am God, I can do anything. That's what led to my act of betrayal, evil, whatever you want to call it, because I said, oh, yeah, something that I want. Let me just get it. Then I just stepped into the thing, wielded my powers, said the words, some to people, some to the world. Well, the things happened just like I wanted them. And it was terrible. It was a terrible creation.
Yeah.
Right? And so, okay, so just to explain a bit, so if you vibe with that, then you were saying that making magic, you said, felt like an act of ego.
Mm-hmm.
Because
because I was, how do I put this? How do I put this movement? It's externally motivated. I mean, like, not totally. Ooh, man, I know this is a hard thing to explain.
good morning to you, Anansi. Wake up, Mr. Matt.
They just reached this point where where it's just like, I want this thing to happen, but there's a price. It will cost me, and the cost won't be clear until later. Versus this path I'm on now of like listening to what genuinely, energetically wants to happen through me in a way that's generative. This is so hard. It's like, how do I explain this? I'm gonna do my best. And if I'm wrong, I'm fucking wrong.
Take your time, brother. We are here to explore and find out, fuck around, all that.
I became a software engineer. I got what I wanted. I a big thing for me, like in my agency journey, was I created this thing I called the life game for myself, where level 1 was getting my own apartment and having a full-time job and having a place where I could just smoke weed and play video games. And I did it. I manifested that. It was fucking sick. It was fucking rad. I'll never forget playing Bloodborne on the couch in my apartment in New York and just being like, yes.
Yes.
Yes. It was good. And then level 2 was I wanted to complete all the challenges in this book called Models by Mark Manson. Fire book, by the way.
Yeah.
Fire book that I still recommend. That taught me a lot of really important shit. And I completed all the challenges in this book leading up to having this like one night stand with this awesome witch. And I did it. And after I did that, like my whole life like started to collapse. It was like I'd forced. Can I call it force? I call it force because it's what I thought was good for me. I mean, it's like I did these.
You used the force, right? Yeah.
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 But like these things didn't last, and they weren't. I don't regret it. It's just like if I always knew that I was going to have to start over. While I was doing all of this, while I was wielding all this magic, there's a part of me that knew that this was not the thing. This wasn't like my true path of like soulful divine integrity. Like this was me just trying to feel good about myself. I always knew, like as a software dev, like finishing level 1, going through all those challenges for level 2, like just life I made for myself. I knew that I was going to have to start over one day if I wanted to actually do the things that all came up during that year I spent in that apartment. That stuff was the stuff that was divinely meant for me.
All right.
And I got distracted, like pursuing my ego needs, my needs to feel like good about myself. You know, and that's what felt like doing magic to me, where I was just manifesting these things that the words. I keep coming back to ego. They were born of this idea of what I thought a good life might be, not what was viscerally true.
Yeah, they're like, it's like I usually call it like outside in versus inside out. They're like coming from or top down. You know, there's not the thing that when we go to the other thing, which we'll describe in a second, which is the letting magic, not doing magic.
Yes.
Or however, that's emergence, and you were doing like the basic Well, you're going like you can call it what you will. You went through Maslow's pyramid or something, or not even Maslow's, but kind of like the societal norm. And I actually feel like that is most wizards that I know do this. I did this. I mean, I'm still doing
I think
it.
it is a part of the journey. I think it had to happen.
I mean, it's actually valuable. I feel like quite a worldly wizard, and I like to communicate. Like I try to bridge the worlds of like society and a more whimsical wizardly world, and I value both a lot, and for everything they make possible, and yeah, so. Yeah, you can call it ego. There's a should in there. There's a childhood dream of having a place where you can game and smoke dope and it's yours, the being the master of your domain, having all that so you can consciously revoke it. That's the normal story. That's you go one arc and then you go another, right? You play through the basic game where the thing is like go from a wooden stick to motherfucking Dragon Slayer 9001 and all the best equipment and that's like that first arc. Oh, now I have equipment, and then you go New Game Plus, and now equipment doesn't matter anymore. Now it's just the same, and then you see, okay, but now it's really me, the core of me, thrown into the world and in that stream. So. Yeah, I think it's very normal. I wouldn't even recommend anybody to skip this shit, So
You're right.
and still, it might still be from ego, and you couldn't even. That's what you told me earlier when you look back and you're like, I don't think it could have been any other way, right?
I agree with this still. That's just the point of.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me. Yeah. Oh, you nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's. Well, I just want it to be descriptive, right? I just want to help you describe it.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, and that's doing magic, right? That's like I need this PlayStation and this apartment, and it's gonna be mine. And it's like, yo, you got it. Yeah, that's possible. You gotta know that that's possible. How else are you gonna? You gotta practice these spells, bro. And you practice them by the book. Then you're going by the book first, right? Custom appliance of the spells comes later when you're practiced a little bit.
Start working with the raw mana.
And now how is working with the raw mana? What's that about?
That shit is crazy.
How did it change for you? And will arrive us back to the present. So I'm excited for that other. What did you call it earlier? Was it like letting magic, or as opposed to doing magic?
Yeah. I call it the path of miracles, letting magic, being magic, allowing magic to work through me.
Right.
Being a conduit.
The yin way, the vessel, the receiver.
I would.
No? Oh, I'm curious about that one.
I think on the path of miracles, like yin and yang ways of doing stop being meaningful.
Okay.
Because like, well, this is good. This is like, we get to the nuance here.
Yeah. For sure.
Talking about my lived experience of this way, it doesn't. Whoa, totally blanked out. It's like. It stops being yin or yang. It's not. I guess I am receiving things, right? But like, man, I don't know. It's just God acting through me all the time. I don't know. How is that yin? I don't know. It's just like.
Doesn't matter. I just like to categorize my things into yin and yang for my personal pastime, but you don't need to accept my silliness. No, but please, I'm much more curious in your description of your lived experience than of your relation to my categories. So, excuse me, and please tell me how that is for you.
All right. I think the biggest shift came like as my creative awakening started to happen in around what 2019, like when my creative awakening really started to get rolling around like 2019, 2020. I guess 2019 is like when it started like happening, when like it just started to push out everything else. I did The Artist Way. Have you done The Artist Way?
I'm on The Artist Way. I haven't done it. I recommend it. I talk about it. It's definitely the thing that made God for me not be quote unquote God, but just divine force. Okay, I did that for you. Yeah, fucking Julia Cameron. Who is she?
That bitch fucking killed it. She slayed that thing.
Yeah.
I say bitch with all due respect.
It's a term of endearment.
The Artist Way, that was just like, that was what showed me how to be a conduit. Like, that was like when I learned how to just let the fucking magic rip through me and stop trying to control it or direct it and just trust in the intelligence in it. Trusting in the intelligence of God, the current, whatever we're going to call that fucking crazy thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did morning pages every day for the 90 days. Sometimes my writing was just unintelligible, violent and or sad scribbles, you know, but every day I would just let everything come through, and I became aware of like the experience of like resisting what wanted to be said through me sometimes. And like then like after that I wrote this novel, and that was like a crazy experience because like sometimes like things that wanted to happen in the story, I was just like, I don't want to write that down. People gonna think crazy things about me because it was like threesomes and shit, and like facing the main character facing the shadow. Like the book was a hyper sigil on purpose, you know. It was about me like trying to open my heart up to the universe. And that just, after I did that, that was when I became just aware of like the presence of inspiration and how it moved and how it just had its own will, and just getting it out of the way of that. And then that just progressed and progressed and progressed, and until like it hit a big moment when like I was in the, Jesus, there was so much shit I did. My God. You know, just the path of life just took me through all sorts of experiences, each one meant to like unblock me, open me up to like the creative energy, to like the big creative energy, to fucking God. Being in this like witch coven for a year called Wealth by like Carolyn Elliott, and then this like this like sex coach witch teaching me how to feel like the visceral experience of yes in my body, which was a game changer. And then like doing Bufo was just opened up this portal inside of me that I could never describe, with this just where just inspiration just became a nonstop flow inside of me, just completely like seized control of me, until I was just making art every day and posting it all on Twitter, which then led to the summoning of the miracles that led me to Europe, and then just continually opening myself up to it more and more and more. Like even now, like psychedelics, feeling more and more of my feelings, letting go of all my ideas about, letting go of all my beliefs. As each one pops up, like, and watching how creative energy is unlocked, and like and more starts to happen through me. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. I'm just going. It's just,
yeah. Me too.
It's just like it's
totally in your stream. It's so funny. Yeah.
And it's just this experience of like, as I open myself up more and more and more to like the will of God. I'm just gonna say it, the fucking will of God. Like, it's just like, oh, that's all there is. That's all there ever was. And it's just, it just has this crystal clear plan, this crystal clear idea of what this vessel, aka Matthew Huff, aka Soul Director, aka Anansi, is to do, including this moment right now, talking with you about this shit. Like, it's just this. That's what it feels like. I'm on this ride, and my ego like is freaking out all the time about it. But like, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. Like, people ask me, and I'm like, I'm aligned.
Aligned and
Like,
alive.
I am aligned. Like, it's just, it's the craziest shit. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world, but it's just like, yeah.
Yo.
Yeah.
I feel it. Do you have some stories from your recent times and travels where I mean, you alluded to a few, but like, especially when it comes to, I guess most people have the most limiting beliefs around probably like money and probably also sex, and which for me seems closely related through eros and entering the world, and I've been trying to map that out and I have no clue, so I'm very grateful for any things. But do you have any stories that have shown you, that have given you trust in God on this journey, possibly pertaining to this big scarcity factor that people might feel? I mean, I see you, I really admire you. I see you posting on Twitter being like, yo, I could use a little money from somebody, and I'm like, damn, dude, that's something that's brave, that's real, it's dignified, which is, I think, very hard to do. There are many people with a lot more money than you that are way less dignified in asking about it, and so there's something. I'm curious how you feel this, because you're so close to the edge. I don't think many people truly are. I know I am not right now. I kind of want to know how it feels to be caught by God in his or her arms, in a moment of need, of uncertainty, of not knowing.
Oh, I got a bunch of fucking stories.
You tell me some of these stories right now. I want to know. I want to know. Ooh.
Got a whole mess of stories.
Bet you do.
All right, I'm just going through the archive right now. I'm like feeling out which ones feel like they are allowed to even be told.
Yes. Please.
Like the one that got me to Europe at all. I don't feel comfortable giving that on a public call. I'll tell you that in private. Not gonna do that publicly.
Yes, sir.
That one was crazy. That one was real crazy. All I'm gonna say is there was no reason I should have made it to Europe. Should not have made it. That should not have worked. Woo! Outside of that one, oh man, let's talk about it. Let's talk about an experience of really being caught. Man, all over, but let's start with Berlin. Like, I mean, like, I just always had a place to stay somehow, despite not having like any money. Like, either like Chris and Anansi like housed me a bunch, or like Leona left town for a little bit, let me stay at her wonderful place, or fucking Bangers like let me crash at his place a whole bunch. Like, I always had a place to crash in the nicest places. I was like staying in the nicest part of Berlin. Like, it was crazy.
Some swaggy ass apartments around there. I've been there. God damn.
Trust me, I was always in awe of like walking around shit. What's the area Medley's in called?
Prenzlauer Berg.
Prenzlauer. You know, they just like just out here vibing like it's the most normal thing. People pushing their kids around. You got this dirty, like bummy looking black dude just wandering around, just like, where the fuck am I?
Whoa.
Bro, like I would walk out of Banger's Place and like just see a German sign, like a German street sign. I would just start laughing because I was just like, where the fuck are we?
Hurdy-gurdy, birdie, schmurdy. Sorry, that was Danish.
I mean, that's just one example of how like hell that felt. Just like I just always like people always say like that was a big thing of like in Berlin I understood of like other people are God. You know, like God is helping me use his hands, which are also the hands of all these people we know and love.
Oh, that's something, huh?
You know, everybody was taking care of me. Everybody was making sure I was eating, had something to stay, you know, let me work out of Medley day in, day out, furiously making art. You know, and that was one way I just felt crazy taken care of. That was another thing where I felt like really taken care of. Everything that's happened in the last few months of SF has been pretty wild.
Yeah, I would love to hear from that. I read you on Twitter, but you know, I can only I think of you a lot. Of course, you know, you're in my consciousness, and then I wonder what this dude is wandering through, you know. So I would love something from there for sure.
I mean, like, let's talk about like going from Europe back to America. Like, you know, oh, that was awesome. Like, one in London, I just had this awesome rest arc where like I got to stay in this guy's loft for like a month and a half. He was only supposed to be gone for like a week and a half, and he ended up just pushing back over and over again. I just like got to stay there and rest and chill out and process what had been happening to me. And then I got the call to like come to a party in SF. And then one of my like mutuals like bought me the plane ticket from London to New York. And then in New York, a friend let me stay at her place for 2 weeks until I left for SF. I got the ticket to SF by just like offering people sigils. And then one of my friends like basically like offered to pay for half of the plane ticket. And then I flew to SF. The day I flew to SF, I like texted my friend and he was like, yeah, you can stay at my beautiful home in Oakland. And let me stay there for basically like what 3 months, you know, let me use his car every day to drive to the city and do what I needed to do. It was crazy. And then like once I like switched over to no longer depending on my dad, like then like the creative force was just influencing me, being like, all right, you need to make a tip page so that people can like support you through that. Or like, man, there's so many ways. Like a really tight story I can tell about it is like, I put out this NFT collection and I felt called to go to Denver. And like after I made that intention, someone bought like 2 of the most expensive pieces in the collection. That bought my plane ticket. And I went to Denver for this like Ethereum conference, where again I was taken care of. Like the place I was supposed to crash at like fell through, and so this dude just like on the spot like bought me an Airbnb to stay at until like the end of the trip. Like, man, I wish I could tell all these stories better. It's just because it's all fucking crazy to recount.
Yeah, I understand. Like, it moves fast, huh?
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna try to keep it tight. So the day comes for me to leave Denver. Dude drops me off at the airport. I'm getting ready to get on my flight, and I have no idea like what I'm gonna do when I get to SF because I didn't have any money for most of my trip in Denver, and I didn't have any money right then. I was just like, how am I even gonna get on the BART to get back to the place I'm staying? And like I hear very clearly like the energy is just like, hey, share your like coffee.com link again. Just share it. Just be like, hey, I actually like really need some assistance. Oh God, doing that every time is so hard. And I do it, And I'm on the plane. I'm on the plane from Denver to SF, and I'm suffering. I'm going through suffering. As always, Jesus appears in my imagination. He's just like, "Hey, just give me your suffering. It's gonna be all right." And I surrender it all.
Classic Jesus.
Classic Jesus. That happens. That happens a lot.
Nice.
And I get off the plane. You know, I'm like down as fuck. I'm like, how am I even gonna get back tonight? And I check my email, and like, you know, a bunch of people have sent me money through the coffee link. One person like sent me like $500. Like my phone was off. My phone service was off too. So that money like got me back on the bar. Got my phone turned back on, and like I was able to eat, you know, without worrying for a couple of days. You know, I felt so like, you know, when I saw that, when I opened my email and I saw that, I was like, of course, like God caught me again. It always catches me. It's like, it always catches me. I suffer every time. I worry every time, and then it catches me. Caught me again yesterday. Man, it's just nonstop. It's just like, God. I feel so like tight about like how I can't tell the stories well, because it's just like, it's like, what do I even tell? It's just nonstop. Like,
I get it. No, it's the I mean, it's hard to name it. Right, and I mean, but yeah, I love it. It's I think it's valuable work to name it a little bit, because you're inspiring. There's, you know, spirit. It's real in these stories. And I have one question about it to bring some balance to it from the world, you know. And it's like, because you're of course describing it so beautifully. But then the thing, you mentioned it a little bit, you're doing work for it, right? You're suffering for it. I mean, you're not waltzing only, right? And so I always say this. I don't know, this has come to me, this the three tasks of a wizard, right? Feed the goats, like stay alive, tend to the garden, tend to the goats, aka eat, and then practice the craft, and then heed the call, right? And you've talked about all of this, and I wanted to ask you about the tending and the practicing, probably more the tending, which is the eating, which is sometimes a wizard is also a beggar, right? Or at least a trader. Because he ain't got no goods.
You're right. No. Yeah. No. Beggar.
And would you describe it? Because when you're in Denver or when you're in these moments, like, I think tweeting or posting your coffee link, that is pretty understandable what that is. I've seen that at least. But like, you must be asking for help a lot. I mean, that doesn't just fall into your lap. I mean, you're talking to people and you're telling them, you know, somehow, because I know I don't do that, because I've got money all the time, and I usually, I'm like, for the people around me, I pay some clothes here, some lunch there, you know, I just pay because I have it. But you must be asking, and I'm curious how that is. I would love to, you know, Denver or whatever, and you must be telling people, yo, I ain't got no place to stay, or I ain't got no food, money to eat, you know. How is that? How do you do that? How does that go? What's the, I don't know if that's even an answerable question.
It is. I mean, you name those three things, and there's really only the third thing. There's really just heat and call. That's actually the only thing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes heeding the call is like, to be honest, very often, like, everybody already knows that I don't have any money. So usually, very often, I don't have to necessarily ask. They'll be like, hey, do you want anything? I'd be like, yeah. It's like, and they're like, yeah, I got you, bro. Yeah, I know. That's
Little
very
brother.
often the case.
Yeah, that's for me. It's little
Yeah.
brother vibes. You're just like, yeah, you just know who's got the cash in the pocket and who not, and then the rest eats. Right? The rest of the gang eats. Yeah. No, that's how it is.
Everybody eats me.
On my watch, that's for sure. Yeah. Okay.
I surprisingly don't have to ask that much. If I really like, sometimes often I'll just tank it and just like sometimes the call will just be like, I'm just going without, and that's fine. Sometimes it's really just heeding the call. Like sometimes like I'm listening and it's just like I hear very clearly it's like, hey, put out the link. It's like you got shit you need to do. This is the moment. Put it out there. Let what's gonna come. Yeah, I mean it hurts my pride. It definitely makes me let go over. I can definitely see God's hand in all this, making me way more graceful.
Yeah.
Man, sometimes I just hear the call and it's like ask. Sometimes it's just like, nah, I don't need to eat that bad. Sometimes it's like, nah, I need to eat. Or like, nah, I need to be able to take the bar because I got stuff I got to do. I got people I need to meet. It's all just heeding the call.
Sick. I get it.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, of course. No, because I think it's so important for me. Well, for me, it's important. I'll just talk for myself. When we're talking about, God catches me, which is fair, of course. And as you're pointing out very clearly in your story, God's hands is the hands of other people, right? Your hands and it's then it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Obviously, in a way, right? But I think there's avenue of misunderstanding, which I like to prevent from the get-go, which is like, oh well, it's like the ending scene of Pulp Fiction, right? So what are you gonna do? I'm gonna walk the earth. So you're gonna be a bum? Like, no, I'm gonna walk the earth, which is called a bum. And it's like,
I do know.
No, man, you're a fucking bum. And he talks about this. He's like, we should be dead. These bullets should have hit us. And don't you think there's some higher force involved? And he's like, nah, man, we just got lucky. Lucky, and it's just a great dialogue, Jules and Vince. And and yeah, I just like to paint things pragmatically, descriptively, and behaviorally. And I much prefer a story where you say, yeah, I asked for shit, or I don't go with food sometimes, or tell how you do it, because that's practice. That's you're walking the walk, and it's not always pretty, right? And like, I love the romanticized part of it where we're talking about magic and God and wizards and so on, and which is romantic and real. And I also love the pragmatic part of it, which is like, yeah, you gotta, you're worrying, you're suffering, you post that link, and then people are generous, and that for me brings so much faith and so much inspiration that people actually do that. Because trusting in God is also trusting into people and into the good naturedness of people. And I mean, you're practicing your craft by making cool art that's completely in your own style, which is the classic. It's simple in a way, but it's true, and that's the measure, right? And then you're doing this. You're doing many things. You're actually selling them. You're putting them up as NFTs and shit. And that's all real work. And I've seen you do that. And for me, that's important for me, because of course I'm drawing energy from you, and also to everybody else who listens to it. It's like you're doing the work. You're not like, oh, just gonna trust in God now, letting go of the reins. No, part of having faith is exercising faith. and the exercise, the doing of it is so important. I just want it to be said. It's important. That shows the true spectrum of you're doing a real thing, right? You're a real person doing a real thing as magical. Like I got entranced when you were in your own thoughts. I was like, damn, yeah, you're going, okay. I can feel it. And yeah, and it's also pragmatic what you're doing in a way. For me, that's so important. I just love that. When things are both romantic and pragmatic, then that's what makes magic real in the world. That's what I want. That's the possibility where even somebody, in a shirt and tie can understand your story and not put it away as okay, this dude's just crazy, right? No, you're doing a real thing. You're trying to live a certain way.
And I'm crazy.
There's no doubt about that. But not just. Of course, bro. Ain't nobody coming on this show that ain't crazy. Name one genius that ain't crazy. Come on. Ah, good.
I like that you said the word pragmatic. That's something that comes up a lot where I'm like, another place that like my faith comes from and my grace comes from is the acknowledgement that this is actually the most sensible path based on what I've seen and all the different ways of being I've experienced. Like once a being has tasted the presence of God, for me personally, it feels stupid to act as if it isn't after that. Like knowing that like there's this force that runs through me that will create things through me, and knowing that the people around me who are also possessed by that force will support me in doing such, and I will, and in my own way I support them in doing such. It's just like knowing of this reality of like the presence of the divine, of God, of the current, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It feels viscerally stupid to not lean into that. It feels deeply illogical or rational to me, knowing that of this lived reality, to do anything else. And that's part of why it becomes this devotion, why it becomes this single-minded, intense current of chaos and creation and like momentum, because like why would I do anything else? Like knowing that, like seeing the raw output coming through me. I have never produced like this or created like this ever in my life.
Like right now?
Like, never. Not even close. And yeah, that's another part of where all this comes from. Of just like, it's not even faith or trust. It's knowing. Yeah, I don't even know where that came from. I think that's the pragmatic. I guess leaning into the pragmatic part of it.
Yeah, it would be very unpragmatic not to act so faithfully, right? That because there's Yeah. I've got nothing to add, my brother. It's I felt I felt a lot of energy going while you were telling your true stories from walking the earth. And I think I wanna take that with me, and not open any great new loops. Also, my free Zencaster account is capped at 2 hours that we're rapidly approaching, so I'm also being pragmatic here. But both is true. Again, both is true.
Keep the call. Heed the call.
Hitting the call. So we've got 5. We've got 4.5. Actually, we got 4:20, in which we can indeed, oopsala, in which we can say our pieces and our wishes and desires and conclude this public conversation. Would you like to begin?
Yeah. It's dope as fuck. This is a live ass conversation. Thank you for giving me this platform to speak on this stuff. Especially in a moment where it's even more alive than ever. I really appreciate the questions you asked me. I really appreciate the opportunities you gave to like be clear about things too, and the very good job you did like drawing stuff out.
Let's keep it 100.
Yeah,
I want
hell
this.
yeah.
This must be real. This must not be. Must be a. I want magic to be a non-frivolous manner. To be experienced in a non-frivolous. I want it to be a non-frivolous. I want it to be real. I want it to be a real thing, and it is, and you're proving it, and that's amazing. I'm so grateful for that, and I'm tripping right now. I'm like, whoa. I had Lauren, right? Yeah. I had a walk with Lauren yesterday through Berlin, bro. I was tripping. We were both tripping afterwards. Just psychedelic beings out here, So I got it again, and yeah, I want to live like that, I love receiving this inspiration and giving it and channeling it, and yeah. So thank you too for living like this and coming on here, and just it was very. Oh yeah, you texted me or you tweeted, and I was like, who should I ask for the thing? And I was like, I'll just ask Anansi. Safe call. That's a man who picks up the cosmic phone, bro. He eats the call, bro. That phone is not on D&D. That phone is on, bro. You can just call that motherfucker. He picks up like in the old days, It's like, hey, can Anansi come to play? And he's like, yes. Where the yes at? Yeah. So thank you for that. I feel so. I felt zero sweat coming into this. I mean, so that's thank you for that.
Yeah, me too, man. I was stoked, dude.
Stoked.
I am stoked.
I've got things on this list that are much more worldly than what we talked about. Music, video games, money. We talked a little bit about that. Love and sex. So maybe for next time. We got the magic basics out the way.
Yeah, we did.
Yo, quite excited. What's your thing? I mean, do you want to plug the coffee thing or something, or your stuff? Like, where can people find you? I don't think anybody is gonna see this who doesn't know already, but just in case,
Yeah, man. Just damn. I guess I do it. I mean, like, I guess you can plug my Linktree. Linktree.com/soul director. Replaces O's with zeros. You can find a link to my clothing store. You can find a link to my NFT collection and all the other weird shit I'm into. Follow me on fucking Twitter, Soul Director. Damn, I have stuff to plug. That's crazy.
You've got stuff, right?
Yeah, I guess I've been doing stuff. That's wild. That's it for now. But next time I have more clear links and stuff. All right, I guess you share a link in the fucking description. Whatever. Too. Yeah.
Bet. Nice, bro. I'll be in the US in June, so I see you then.
Yeah, I'll see you at Vibe Camp. I think in the same tent camp.
Oh, apparently, yeah, that's true. Okay. On camera, goodbye, and love you very much. Thank you.
Love you too, dog.
Peace.